They say the line between love and hate is razor thin. For Elise, Chen, and Adrian Park, that line was drawn in the sleek hallways of Horizon Digital, where their rivalry sparked like electricity. Neither expected that the person they'd sworn to outshine would become the one person. They couldn't live without proving that sometimes, your greatest competition might just be your perfect match. The marketing department of Horizon Digital buzzed with nervous energy on a crisp Monday morning. Elise Chen arrived early, as she always did, coffee in hand and determination in her stride. At 32, she had climbed the corporate ladder through sheer grit and brilliance, earning her reputation as Horizon's marketing powerhouse. Today marked 5 years since she'd joined the company, and she'd been subtly dropping hints to her boss about the vacant senior marketing director position. The position was practically hers, or so she thought, until Adrian Park walked through the door. Adrian was the new transfer from the Seoul office, with a portfolio that made even the most seasoned marketers whistle in appreciation. Tall, impeccably dressed, with dark-rimmed glasses that framed thoughtful eyes, he carried himself with quiet confidence. But what Elise noticed most was the way their boss, Victoria, introduced him with the kind of enthusiasm usually reserved for announcing record-breaking quarters. Their first meeting was cordial, but loaded with unspoken tension. Victoria explained that Adrian would be joining their team as senior marketing strategist, working alongside Elise on the upcoming Nexus campaign. She asked Elise to show Adrian around, her tone making it clear this wasn't a request. Elise told Adrian she looked forward to collaborating with him, though her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Adrian replied that he had heard impressive things about her work, his tone polite but reserved. As they shook hands, both sensed the competitive undercurrent that would define their relationship for months to come. Over the next few weeks, their rivalry intensified. When Elise presented a comprehensive social media strategy, Adrian followed with suggestions that were frustratingly innovative. When Adrian proposed a bold approach to client acquisition, Elise countered with data-driven analyses that highlighted potential risks. Their meetings became battlegrounds of ideas, with the rest of the team often watching in a mixture of awe and discomfort. Victoria seemed amused by their competition, sometimes deliberately pitting them against each other. She assigned them both to develop separate proposals for the Nexus campaign, Horizon's biggest project of the year. The winner would lead the campaign and, likely, secure the senior director position. Elise threw herself into her work with renewed vigor. She stayed late, arrived early, and spent weekends researching. Through the glass walls of the office, she often spotted Adrian doing the same, his desk lamp illuminating his concentrated expression as he worked into the night. Despite herself, she found a grudging respect growing for his dedication. Their colleagues started taking sides, some betting on Elise's experience and connections, others on Adrian's fresh perspective and international success. The office environment grew tense, with whispered conversations and speculative glances following them everywhere. Everything came to a head during the quarterly review meeting. Elise presented her Nexus proposal first, delivering a polished presentation that earned approving nods from the executive team. Her strategy emphasized Horizon's established strengths, while incorporating innovative elements that showed she wasn't afraid of change. Then came Adrian's turn. His presentation started similarly but took an unexpected turn halfway through. Instead of competing directly with Elise's approach, he proposed a complementary strategy that, when combined with elements of her plan, created something more powerful than either proposal alone. Elise felt a mixture of confusion and surprise. Victoria turned to her, asking what she thought of merging the proposals. Put on the spot, Elise stammered that she would need to review Adrian's data more carefully. Adrian smoothly suggested they could discuss integration points over lunch, looking at her with an unreadable expression. After the meeting, Elise confronted Adrian in the hallway, demanding to know his angle. She asked if this was some ploy to take credit for her work. Adrian's response was calm but firm. He explained that competition was valuable, but collaboration would yield better results for everyone. He admitted that after reviewing her proposal, He realized combining their strengths made more sense than fighting over who was right. Elise didn't know whether to be flattered or suspicious. She agreed to lunch the next day to discuss the merged proposal, telling herself it was only to protect her ideas. As she walked away, she couldn't help noticing how Adrian's serious expression softened slightly when she accepted. Their lunch meeting at a small Thai restaurant near the office marked a subtle shift in their relationship. Away from the competitive environment of Horizon, they found conversation flowing more naturally. Adrian asked about Elise's journey to Horizon, genuinely interested in her background in nonprofit marketing before moving to the corporate world. Elise learned that Adrian had studied in the United States before returning to Seoul, giving him a unique perspective that bridged Eastern and Western marketing approaches. He spoke about his family with warmth, especially his grandmother who had raised him after his parents' divorce. When Elise mentioned her own parents' expectations and her coming out as bisexual in college, Adrian listened without judgment, sharing that he had faced similar challenges when he came out to his traditional Korean family. This unexpected personal connection shifted something between them. As they returned to discussing the Nexus campaign, their conversation felt less like a negotiation and more like a genuine exchange of ideas. They discovered their approaches were complementary. Elise excelled at strategic planning and client relations, while Adrian brought creative innovation and global perspective. Back at the office, they began working together in earnest. The merging of their proposals required long hours and close collaboration. They commandeered a small conference room, covering the walls with sticky notes and flowcharts. What had been competition transformed gradually into synergy, with each challenging the other to refine and improve their ideas. Their colleagues noticed the change. The tension that had permeated the office dissipated, replaced by a productive energy that seemed to radiate from their shared workspace. Victoria observed their progress with approval, commenting to her assistant that this was exactly what she had hoped would happen. The Nexus presentation was scheduled for month-end, giving them 3 weeks to perfect their strategy. As the deadline approached, their working sessions grew longer. They often ordered dinner to the office, sharing meals over spreadsheets and market analyses. During these quiet evening hours, their conversations drifted beyond work to books, films, and life philosophies. Adrian revealed his passion for documentary photography, showing Elise stunning black and white photos he'd taken during his travels. Elise shared her love of classic jazz, promising to take him to her favorite club downtown. These personal exchanges became as valuable to them as their professional collaboration. 2 days before the Nexus presentation, disaster struck. A competitor leaked similar campaign concepts, forcing them to reconsider their entire approach. Elise panicked, seeing months of work potentially wasted. Adrian suggested they take a walk to clear their heads, leading her to a small park near the office. As they sat on a bench watching office workers hurry past, Adrian proposed a radical pivot. Rather than competing with the leaked concepts, they could acknowledge them directly and position Nexus as the authentic version of what others were imitating. It was risky, but might turn the setback into an advantage. Elise found herself trusting Adrian's instinct. They spent the next 48 hours rebuilding their presentation, fueled by coffee and determination. When Adrian's hand brushed against hers as they both reached for the same document, neither pulled away immediately. The moment lingered, both of them suddenly aware of a tension that had nothing to do with professional rivalry. The Nexus presentation was a triumph. Victoria and the executive team approved their strategy unanimously, with the CEO personally commending their innovative response to the leak. As congratulations poured in, Elise caught Adrian watching her from across the room, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. She felt a flutter in her chest that she couldn't attribute to professional pride. That evening, the team celebrated at a nearby bar. In the midst of the festivities, Victoria pulled Elise and Adrian aside. She informed them that instead of choosing between them for the senior director position, the company was creating co-director roles to leverage their complementary strengths. Their success with Nexus had proven they were more valuable together than apart. After Victoria left, Adrian asked if Elise was disappointed about sharing the promotion. Elise surprised herself by honestly answering that she wasn't working with him, had been more rewarding than working against him. Adrian's expression softened, and he admitted feeling the same way. As they rejoined the celebration, something had shifted again, the alliance deepening into something neither was ready to name. The co-directorship transformed their working relationship. They shared an office now, their desks facing each other across a spacious room with views of the city. Their respective strengths created a leadership dynamic that the team responded to enthusiastically. Under their guidance, the department's performance soared. Yet something remained unresolved between them. There were moments, a lingering glance, a touch that lasted slightly too long, laughter that faded into loaded silence, that suggested their connection had evolved beyond professional respect or even friendship. Neither acted on these moments. Both had invested too much in their careers to risk complications. Both had experienced workplace relationships that ended badly. And beneath these rational concerns lay a deeper fear that acknowledging their feelings might disrupt the perfect balance they had achieved. The annual industry conference in Chicago provided the catalyst they needed. Away from the familiar structures of the office, staying in the same hotel and navigating the professional events together, the boundaries between their work and personal lives began to blur. After a successful presentation on the second day, they celebrated with dinner at a small jazz club Elise had discovered on a previous trip. The intimate setting, live music, and shared sense of accomplishment created an atmosphere charged with possibility. Adrian asked Elise to dance, and as they moved together in the dimly lit space, the pretense that they were just colleagues became impossible to maintain. Later, walking back to their hotel through Chicago's brisk autumn air, Adrian stopped suddenly beneath a streetlight. He told Elise he needed to be honest about something. The directness in his gaze made her heart race. He confessed that his feelings for her had grown beyond friendship, but he valued their professional partnership too much to risk it without knowing if she felt the same way. Elise stood silent for a moment, snow beginning to fall gently around them. Then she stepped forward and kissed him, a gesture that answered his question more eloquently than words could have. They walked back to the hotel hand in hand, the city lights blurring through the snowfall, like their former boundaries dissolving into something new and undefined. Returning to Horizon presented a new challenge: how to navigate their personal relationship alongside their professional one. They agreed to keep their romance private initially, not out of shame, but to establish its foundation away from office politics and gossip. Their secret didn't last long. Though they maintained absolute professionalism at work, their colleagues began noticing subtle changes: the way they anticipated each other's thoughts in meetings, how their eyes sought each other across rooms, the synchronicity of their movements, as if connected by invisible threads. Rumors circulated until the holiday party, where Adrian, after one too many glasses of champagne, kissed Elise beside the punch bowl. The shocked silence that followed was broken by Victoria's amused comment that it had taken them long enough. The tension dissolved into laughter and congratulations, their relationship receiving unexpected blessing from all quarters. The months that followed brought adjustments and growth. They learned to disagree without letting it affect their personal connection, to leave work discussions at the office, to balance ambition with their commitment to each other. It wasn't always easy, but the same determination that had fueled their rivalry now strengthened their partnership. 1 year after the Nexus campaign, they found themselves back in the same Thai restaurant where they'd first begun to see each other as allies rather than adversaries. Adrian seemed unusually nervous, checking his phone repeatedly and losing the thread of conversation. Finally, he explained his distraction. He had been corresponding with Elise's parents, whom he had met only twice before. Traditional and initially reserved about their daughter's relationship, they had slowly warmed to Adrian. Today, he had received their response to a question he had asked them, their blessing for him to propose to Elise. Elise sat stunned as Adrian moved from his chair to kneel beside their table. He spoke of how their journey from rivals to partners had taught him that the best relationships weren't about winning or losing, but about becoming better together. He asked if she would continue that journey with him as his husband. With tears blurring her vision, Elise gave her answer. As the restaurant erupted in applause, she marveled at how the person she had once seen as her greatest competition had become her most treasured ally and now, her future husband. The following Monday, they walked into Horizon Digital hand in hand, Elise's engagement ring catching the morning light. As they entered their shared office, she glanced at the desk nameplate that had once symbolized her ambition. Now it represented just one aspect of a life enriched by a love that had begun where she least expected to find it across a conference table, in the eyes of her rival. Now it represented just one aspect of a life enriched by a love that had begun where she least expected to find it across a conference table, in the eyes of her rival.